Welcome back to the Paladins Minor League. I'm Tom F. Battinger, formerly joined by Kresnik, now joined by the Evolution. It's Dave Dolson Olsen.
A net increase, in my opinion. Just kidding. I love Kresnik.
Well, in mass alone, for sure.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate it. Gas me up. I'll take it all day. Fun set one, though. I mean, those are your top two teams in this region. Expect it to go 5 games, to be honest. And I love this resurgence that I'm starting to see out of all business. I mean, they've had a rough split one, or they did have a rough split one, and really starting to come into their own. But, of course, looking at set 2, it's the kind of up and down of Penta where you have to look.
You talk about kind of coming into their own, and that's exactly Penta's mission here, right? Yeah. You come through and you go, hey, we are the best on the block. You win midseason invitational, and of course, then you get pruned and culled because that's your job in the minor leagues.
Right.
So now you've got to rebuild. You won, and now you've got to do it again with less pieces. So obviously they are down a couple of ranks here on the standings, but I think watching them kind of resurge here in the second half, finding what pieces they can along the way, that's been a lot of fun to watch.
No, and that's a great way to put it, because they absolutely have. I mean, there were a couple weeks there in the middle where we were kind of unsure. We're like, I mean, are Penta going to be okay? Because you're right. I mean, they go through MSI. They win MSI as a minor league team. They lose some of their key players, or arguably the key players, to the PPL. So it's been a coming together, a finding yourself sort of story here over the course of the second split for Penta. Some up and down performances, but this is one that they'll really look to win. I mean, arguably when Sour Team and All Business are playing like the best team in this region of the minor league, you need to take these wins over your third seed team and really start to make some progress.
Let's see where the players are planning on avoiding today as our map bans come out. We're going to say goodbye to the desert and goodbye to Timber Mill. Timber Mill is a map that not a lot of people like playing there. Fish Market,
Penta.
And how bizarre. No bizarre.
I'm sad. People hate Fish Market.
People
hate Timber Mill. It's because I love like the weird or the maps that cater to kind of weird, quirky play styles in a way. I mean, Timber Mill is certainly that. Maybe I'm just like sniper minded, and like, because Fish Market, sometimes we see some snipers. We did in the console league yesterday, but it's those weird quirky maps that kind of have the interesting champion picks, those sorts of things that I really love to see. I love all the other maps, of course, but those just a little extra. I know some people really hate Fish Market though. It's such a weird map to play on. So as a spectator, it's fun. As a player, maybe not so much.
Big fan of Fish Market, one of our older maps as well, and that's legacy for me, being here from the jump. Let's take a look at where we are going to play, and the first one's going to be Stone Keep. What's your take on this one?
Pretty tried and true. I mean, if we're talking about kind of old guard, new guard, quirkiness, non-quirkiness, Stone Keep kind of finds itself right in the middle. The flex kind of flanky, blastery champions have been a rotating flavor of the month, if you will. So, I mean, we've seen some Willow, some Bomb King, some Mave, a little bit of everything, honestly. And Stone Keep is a map where a lot can work, depending on how you want to play. Bomb King is kind of what comes to my mind, not necessarily as like the go-to pick, but if you're trying to throw an interesting curveball, maybe you pick the Bomb King, you take that high keep side, really run down the high ground, play as a team, maybe a Grover at your back. So I look for maybe that aspect of the game to change.
Yeah, if you're looking to lock down that interior aspect of the map, Bomb King's a great choice. Drogos can do a lot of work here, and you can kind of hover above. That's why I like the Cassie selection here from Penta. Cassie being picked first and foremost by Penta alongside Ash. You've got these aggressive characters that are going to be pushing out. Expect to see Ash inside and outside. She can kind of play both. Cassie will be relegated to the outside, but if the Drogos does come through from One Trick Pony, Cassie can kind of take care of that from a distance. So a lot of, with just 2 picks here, Cassie and Ash, Penta are kind of dictating the way they want to play the game, and also the way the opponent has to utilize their
Absolutely, spot on. I mean, it clips so much of what One Trick Pony could play. I mean, they're leaving those last 2 picks open for a flex. I was going to think Penta might do the same. Willow and Ying here, though, pretty strong too. I mean, the zone control of that Willow so important here on Stone Keep. I don't mind the Cassie first pick. Sometimes you might see it, 3, 4 But if One Trick Pony, like you said, I mean, maybe they're looking towards Eevee, maybe they're looking towards Drogos, a Cassie that's consistently hitting those shots, which is hard, don't get me wrong, but it deters a little bit of what One Trick Pony maybe you're looking for, but looking like Bomb King and Leon.
I love this choice coming out from One Trick Pony. I think the Con of the Fury, I was right away excited about the Con of the Fury after the Cassie and Ash. I think they're well-to-do characters that can perform independent of what the opponent's kind of bringing. And then the Bomb King and the Leon, we discussed Bomb King at the beginning, and the Leon is just another character that can kind of keep herself at a distance. So you gain that for yourself and take it away from Penta. And Penta will wind up rounding off their draft with a Barrack.
And it's two kind of weird hybrid aggressive comps. I mean, if Cassie is able to blow up the front line of OTP, I think Penta will be in a good spot. Leon, though, look for that one-on-one between her and Willow.
It's going to be a lot kind of leaning on the shoulders of these blasters. We'll see who's able to take the game. Game number one, the first and foremost, it's One Trick Pony versus Penta. It's fun, and it's Kresnik.
Correct. It is fun at Kresnik. We are both here getting ready to cast. It's a wonderful game. One Trick Pony versus Penta, just as it was Tom is saying on Stone Keep, being the first map. I'm interested too. I like what Dave said as well about how they're both like these weird sort of hybrid aggressors on these compositions.
I would say that I think One Trick Pony's comp is definitely more sided towards taking that keep, though.
Right.
I think they're going to be more for the high ground. And I think that's solely because of the Bomb King. BK to me, on this map, you're not playing outside.
Right.
Unless you really are confident in your Kobe's across the map, you're going to want to be inside playing in that kind of close range area. So I'd expect to see OTP playing a lot more centric in there. And I think Penta's comp is good for playing outside if they choose to. Barrack's good for poking from the low ground to the high. Cassie, Willow, great at locking down those choke points once One Trick Pony decide it's time to go.
The Grumpy Bomb to go up, just sit there already. Willow, Ash, just really conceding aggression here, but she's literally stuck against that wall. And what else can you say about that? The wall literally went up, the wall kept her there, and they got the kill. So I mean,
that's not a good feeling. I mean, I've definitely been there before. It is not something you want to have happen to you. Good pressure by OTP early, and I think Penta just kind of had to give that up again. I don't think Keep is their area to fight. I think they have a much better composition for outside, and that's what they're going to do now. I mean, Coriel outside controlling the stairs just to poke them, but he shouldn't be committing too far in. And now Penta, they're kind of surrounding them too. They have this mid zone now. The backline is very low, the Leon. Low by the banana area, but you can see the damage from Penta spread through all the doors is keeping them completely locked in. Dead zone on Anara means the Doodle has to back off, so Penta keep their point time even longer.
All right, Zach, there's Ovum just trying to steadily stack the percentage right there, 78% to 48, really in OTP's case. And now it's starting to climb. They are pretty much just taking turns, stepping on the point. Here you go, then I go. In this case, they are controlling it in the best way it is they can. Once again, they do already have Keep. We see Haste already in the back, really just using this Fate Flight, throwing out these shots here, trying to make it a lot harder for Onzadoodle. And I mean, man, he is hitting him, and he does get the kill. Barrack, aka Ovum, really just sitting on point. Now he's chilling. Now they're not really going to be able to even make it back.
People sometimes just forget about how influential the infinite ammo for Fate Flight is.
Right.
Not going to save Haste here because the Fate Flight already ended to fit finding him with the King Bomb. Goes down 2 though, so 2 for Penta. I think Doodle wasn't thinking about the infinite ammo.
Right.
When you're getting shot by Willow, you think you're going to have that moment of respite at some point. Not against a Fate Flight. Not with that infinite ammo on board. So Doodle didn't have that in his mind. Ended up getting focused down, which gave it away to Penta. There was no picks for a pretty long time, I felt. I mean, or just that early pick on Coriel, but then nothing else was really found after that until Penta finally found that ultimate when they were trading all damage. I mean, they have 2 strong healers, so that makes sense. Furia Ying. Definitely able to sustain their team through these fights, maintain that in these very, very pokey engagements.
Yeah, I agree with this. And speaking of poke, this is literally what Haste is doing right now. He's literally just firing down that one hallway, of course, which is what you would expect to see. You see that they do really want to be able to control that. They shoot it, throw out Grumpy Bomb, Sopadopoulos, clean double kill in this case. And I mean, what else is there to say?
Whenever we release Play Like a Pro Willow, that's actually all it's going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to be doing the commentary, but it's going to be that clip loop the entire time. Penta, though, the spam up top gave them a lot of room. They managed to completely zone them into the objective, into the spawn, and get that cap. So I like their play. I think they have the better Stone Keep comp in general. I think this meta kind of lends itself a little bit more to that outside play, to playing in that church area. Just because I feel like once you get locked in those chokes, blasters and flankers are so strong right now. Once you're locked in those doors, it's just too hard to get out. Especially against teams that have strong flex players.
Yeah, Definitely agree with that. We already see that the ultimates are online for OTP. They have the Inflame coming up soon. Already the morale boost is there. The Chronos is there. Enlightenment's up. Seismic Crash is up. Like I said, the Inflame will be up soon enough. Illusory Rift is coming up, but they have 4 ultimates online for Penta. So I feel like if they were going to try and contest for keep, now would be the time to sort of do it. If they want to. If they want to.
I mean, you're not wrong, but the ults are even. You know, either way, they're going to be running.
Yeah,
they're going to
good
be
point.
just crashing into each other. And now Coriol only half contesting again at the top of the stairs. Slopodopoulos, though, finding a line into the back onto Nixus, forces him back. So a lot of backline pressure kind of out of the game right now. Defit is free because of where Slop is playing, but rotates back down. Now they're just going to have that point trade again. Inflame, though, they might want to go for this, but Penta's going to counter-aggress with the Dome Shield.
Yeah, they are indeed, but, I mean, they get knocked back thanks to Poppy Bomb. I like the attempt from Defit to try and really capitalize on what was happening, but he tried to knock the Ashe away as soon as she landed. He did, but that resulted in a team wipe for Penta. Now they're already getting the zone started. You already see Coriol right here by, I see some people call that Vine, or I believe like Fire or something like that, right? In which case they actually are going to try and hold that. We're looking at that right now, making sure they have their ankles covered. No one's really on high ground, but they have a zone.
I don't think Penta could have countered that any better. That Inflame.
Yeah.
I mean, you get an Inflame, you're like, can't wait to do all this damage, and then you're looking at an Invincible Ashe and a Dome Shield, and you're like, well, there's literally nothing I can do. Actually, good flank by Doodle, I think, getting Seismic Crash onto 2 that tried to push. They do trade onto Slop, don't convert on the Barrack, but this should give them a little bit of space, especially with Coriol going down to the other side.
Yeah, Nixon's getting a double kill is going to be a lot for OTP in this case to be able to try and counteract the push it was that Penta had. The momentum definitely being halted right here. I mean, Disengage Bolt was hit. Doesn't land the shots, though, and because of that Slopodopoulos, he stepped up a little bit too far. Ends up getting punished for that. Slide his way back out to make sure he gets a little bit of damage onto the Barrack for really just being there. Was stunned for a little bit thanks to Grumpy Bomb, but nothing concrete. The shoulder bash comes in for MASH, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to stop Nixus.
No, not right now. Well, that will be.
I mean, that will be.
The combo from the blast shot and the primary fire
There's
will be enough to do it. And they're getting a lot of pressure. They force out the Furia. They will lose the Willow on the side, but I think they have better position. They're completely surrounding One Trick Pony.
Yeah, they literally have traded a 1-for-1, and now that would actually be 1-for-2 almost in this case. With the Nara currently respawning, and now the other frontliner potentially going down. He is. Now you have no frontliners. Now you have to give up so much space, so much respect to the enemy team in this case. It throws out the Grumpy Bomb to try and deny some access there. Ashe charges in, but there's not really anything they could do. She charged in to try and capitalize on that. Slopodopoulos couldn't get around that corner to shoot. So, I mean, they had to concede it.
I mean, Coriol got out, so that's
exactly.
a bigger part of it. He didn't end up going down. 5 ultimates for Penta. They could try converting. They start with the Illusory Rift, so healing to go in. Shoulder bash up top to make room also. Faithfly coming in too. They're getting good spam into the back line. Once they get closer, they can use Assert Dominance, maybe make something happen, but Enlightenment might not let it happen. Great dodge by Coriol to stay on the point and keep things controlled.
I agree. The Assert Dominance to come through to make sure he arcs his way right over that Enlightenment. Doesn't want to get hit. It was already looking really low. King Bomb to come out to try and get things stunned. This is it. It goes on to Coriol. It stuns the people in the back line, but I don't know if they're going to be able to really capitalize on that. I think this might really be it for OTP in this case. They got team wiped. Penta just had the advantage. That dodge from Coriol was enough, and it netted them the win.
All that damage that Slop was doing was just
true.
So
That's 100%.
Cassie was playing into not the dream tank composition to play Cassie into, but it's close. I mean, Inara Khan, very good at eating big game shots. Not that that's like, when you're picking them, you're not like, dude, we're going to be so good at getting destroyed by big game.
I'll tell you, when I die.
You'll feel it.
Yeah.
No, but Inara Khan really kind of got shredded by big game. Slopodopoulos, I think, had a really big presence. And Hayes, too, applying a lot of damage, a lot of pressure, especially during those mid-fights, which I think were kind of the key to what brought Penta this win.
Right, exactly. I agree with this. You already see it here. 65,000 damage for Slop. Most in the game. Ovum following up. And Hayes, really, they're doing really, really good. Ovum, obviously, 50,000. Hayes, 54,000, of course. Nixus falling a little bit behind, and OTP just had a rough game that go around. I mean, the slash lines are pretty much all negative. Meanwhile, Penta, they're sitting pretty. They're looking pretty good. All positive slash lines, except for Coriol, but he has the 9 assists to help that. And, of course, we've seen the good Assert Dominances and such.
That's just the Ashe life.
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah, I can understand
you
that.
go negative on Ashe and your team wins that dominantly, you're like, yeah, all me.
Yeah.
Yep, that was purely me. And we mentioned it before. Slop, I think, especially in those last fights, Slop was doing a lot more on the push, I think, than he was on the mid fights. But him converting all those shots that he did, especially in this final kind of very chaotic fight, able to stay alive, be CC immune with this scout, there's just when you're hitting all the shots on Cassie, you understand why she is such an influential character.
Right.
Even with the removal of Cauterize from her blast shot forever ago, she's going to stay a force in the meta, I think, until something else changes.
Yeah, it has to be something huge, too, because, I mean, like, you already see the damage she's outputting here, the triple kill. Mr. Slopadopoulos, Hajanudel, really just trying to live the best that he can for his team, but it's unfortunately not enough for them. I mean, once again, Slop did really good, but, I mean, I can say that about the rest of the team, the rest of Penta.
Yeah, I think so. I just think their draft was really dominant. I don't really know about the BK. I think the BK was definitely a rough pick. If maybe they had expected Penta to purely be contesting keep, it would have been a little better. But they had a draft that was already going to play on the outside. I think One Trick Pony definitely needs to change something up draft-wise for the next map.
Yeah, they definitely do, especially when we get right into Game 2 right after this break.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the Paladins Minor League.
And just like that, we're up 1-0. Penta comes out and takes it versus One Trick Pony. A relatively short one there. Under 10 minutes of gameplay, Dave. That was...
That's old Penta.
Yeah,
that's split one Penta. That is, you know, every once in a while, Sour Team would have a good match against Penta, but it would always end up being Penta on top, and that's what they've been striving for. I have to tip my hat to Slopadopoulos. This is a console league player that has left the console league, you know, kind of been here and there in the minor league. It is now seemingly starting to really find his own on this Penta lineup, and that performance on Cassie, I mean, that's nuts. I mean, you're going from playing your whole life or being used to playing on a controller and then being able to that consistently hit shots on a champion that is somewhat, I mean, it's a very rhythm-based champion. You got to really start to feel that momentum. He did just that. Big performance out of him.
Let's jump into the second match and see where we're playing. It's going to be Warder's Gate, so we'll see if Slop can actually have those long-range shots one more time. And I got to agree with you there. I think one of the cooler things is being able to watch a console player kind of shift over to the PC world, but obviously there's going to be some push and pull with respects to kind of how they come into themselves. As you said, been around the scene for a little bit, but playing the Cassie confidently and being the main option here for the squad and then bringing home the victory on top of it, that's kind of the litmus test.
Yeah,
I'm now, you know, ex-console league player has now become the footnote instead of the asterisk, so to speak, when talking about Slopadopoulos. Accomplished PC player in his own right, bringing Penta game number 1. The Cassie will be banned out as Penta want to first select the Khan, and OTP have to respond.
I mean, she's in a good spot. I mean, her big game was touched a little bit in recent patches, a little bit less time on those shots, but she's still in a great spot. I mean, a good Cassie player can still hit, you know, enough shots in that time frame to where it still does plenty of damage. So I think it's a fine ban. And Kresnik's right. I mean, the where she was played into, I mean, an Inara Khan, that's the dream. I mean, I melt big game with that time and time again. Maybe indicative of what they want to pick. Two shielded frontliners here, Khan, Barrick. Cassie would have torn them apart, so I like the Cassie ban.
Leon going to supplement those two tanks as well. We'll see some long-range shots out of Penta. One Trick Pony across the way, though, the Ash and the Willow, so some aggressive options here right off the bat, and some Grover and Inara, which is kind of the other side of the coin. A little bit more of the dig your heels in standard point round.
And it's actually set one when Kresnik was up here with you. He kind of echoed this. Grover Ash, it works together, but it's kind of a weird mismatching where Ash wants to move forward, jump forward, engage with that assert dominance, and Grover kind of wants to hang back, group up, play as one and the same, and you certainly can do both, but it's the balance of the two where One Trick Pony are going to have to find that balance in this game.
It's run with me here. It's like a salad dressing. The oil and the vinegar don't mix until you shake it up and apply it just right, and then it executes itself flawlessly. That's what One Trick Pony are doing, which is tough. Because let's be real here, this is a top card versus a bottom card. I get it, 3 and 4, but there's a distance between Penta and One Trick Pony. And when you're the David looking up at the Goliath, going into a high execution composition is probably not what you're looking to do.
Yeah.
But I like the confidence here from OTP, because at the end of the day, this is a good draft going into what Penta has gotten.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of, can One Trick Pony actually pilot it to the victory line and take home the W? We'll find out. Jumping into game number 2, Penta versus One Trick Pony. One more time, Fawn, you picking up what I'm putting down?
Indeed I am, sir. Sha Lin is in the game. And I wasn't really expecting Sha Lin to show up. We don't see him as often, but he could put out some damage for sure.
I mean, the Cassie ban from Penta really forced their hand. I mean, they banned
that's
Cassie.
True.
Willow was the priority for One Trick Pony, so they just grabbed the Leon, Penta does, before any later phases. If they want a backline in that same vein, they have to take Sha Lin.
Yeah.
I guess the Victor option is up, but I don't think he's phenomenal on this map. I think teams kind of go towards the more close-range brawlers, close-range backlines a little bit more. Like we've seen Tyra on this map kind of just getting protected in that small little room. But Sha, he's not bad. It just teams don't like his inconsistency. If you miss one shot on Sha Lin, it's drastically worse than missing just one shot on Cassie or Leon.
Right, I do agree with that. We already see that. Really, both of these teams have the potential to be aggressive because of who it is they picked. Of course, you have Barrett, Khan, Ash, and Nara. Those front lines. And Nara, you don't really think aggression, but when Seismic crashes up on the board, you'll see her playing a lot more for it. Of course, Nyx is already over here, is already getting flanked by 2 individuals of Penta in this case, but Maeve leaves him alone, just hung out to dry in that case. But speaking of which, Onzadoodle, everyone looks over to the right. Onzadoodle dies, and now they're in a bad spot because they won't really be able to push on the point how they want to. They pretty much have to sit up there, hold their ground, do what they can.
Especially against a point tank as good as Overman. This plays right into Penta's hands. I mean, look at their draft. They have 4 characters that don't really want to shove into you. Maeve wants to rotate and poke you. Leon's never going to dive super hard. And if One Trick Pony is stuck in one little room, they're just going to get surrounded and just destroyed by all this damage. Coral getting picked on the way out by Nyx is great by them, especially since they have 50% cap time. Slap trades one more, but all the picks are just going OTP's way.
Indeed, 3 for 1 in this case. Really, they're looking at the Genos, they're looking at the Leon next. Stop me. Really trying to move up and really trying to get a zone going, trying to force both Leon and Genos back in a way that really won't allow them to try and cap that. Speaking of cap, OTP do manage to get that very, very first point. They've just been controlling things so well.
Yeah, it was a good turn. I think that pick onto the Khan really did turn things, especially since they were getting the cap time, denying the retake. Penta was getting cap time too, but they did manage to contest it in time. Good Void Grip to stop me. Actually helps Penta gain a little bit more ground here, but they can't really collapse on anything. They don't have that amount of burst damage, I think, until the Maeve shows up, or until Slop's cooldowns are off.
That's true, but 2 kills already looking at Penta. Third one. Third one coming up for Penta in that case as well.
Nixus knew he was going to die.
Yeah,
but
no.
I've definitely been there.
Yeah,
like in the all right, I'm going to go down. I guess I'll use Planted. I mean, there is actually some merit to that. There's a build. I know he's not running it, so we don't even need to look. But where you can get 25% DR in Planted, and it's kind of cute, but in those situations, pretty much the only time it's really going to help you. Bayfly used early by OTP just to get a little bit of ground, but I don't know how much it's going to really get them. Nexus and Defit are both very low.
Neither do I. They really have to try and pick and choose their fights here. You already see him grouping up. Really, Nexus is firing shots at where he can. The Heat Haze already being activated. Taking a few shots here and there, the Midnight to go through to make it a little bit harder for that Heat Haze to actually gain some value. Daggers are coming through on the Stop Me. He does find it, but it's not enough yet. Really, everybody's really just taking their time. Papadopoulos finds a kill on Nixus. The Seismic Crash goes through, gets Coryell, shoulder bash to kill him. Now we're looking at a 1-for-1 trade, but Slob getting the one, getting another kill on the Cerats. That's going to open up the door.
Khan can sustain for so long. I mean, just the fact that they forced out Stop Me shoulder bash to get that kill severely limits the aggression that OTP can have. he bought so much time. Honestly, if they had just waited a second more, they probably could have chipped him around his shield and then dashed in. I mean, Stop Me was really close to the assert dominance. Maybe they could have turned it, but I understand the whole, like, want to keep up this tempo. We need to set our pace, especially since Penta is so good at kiting away, at keeping their distance. And Slopadopoulos has been the star so far this game.
Yeah.
I mean, and this set, but this game so far, 6-0 for him on the board.
Yeah, I mean, already at the top of the damage charts here, really uncontested, almost more than 20k or almost 15k damage at this point, just having such a strong, commanding lead at this point. Boca all the way in the back, really just scanning his way around, trying to make sure he doesn't actually get in a bad spot like Slop was in that case, where he actually just gets picked off by Willow, does end up going down. So that's definitely going to open up something for OTP in this case. The Planted comes out, damage onto the Con, but not enough because Boca does find on a Nixus, but really the favor's still in OTP.
That's the last place you want to hover a Willow, directly above you.
Yeah.
I get why Boca did it to try to get away, but actually Penta, because of that, I think they got a little distracted. Good catch by Coriel onto the shoulder bash, but he's buying a lot of time now, and his team is 3v1ing on the cart. He goes down, but all that attention got pulled away. 2
kills already for them, which is going to net them 1 point for them in this round. Now we're looking at a 1-1 score, not necessarily in the overall set, but really just this round. I mean, it's been really close. It was questionable at first because it looked like OTP really had the advantage, but then when that kill happened, I mean, when they got what they needed, like Slop got one, okay, they followed up with another, but then he got the kill on Surretts, and then after that, it was just downhill.
Slop did finally end up going down, but got 2 more kills onto his belt. 8-1 for him. Credits mostly, actually, I'm surprised Penta caught up the way they did. They do have 4 caught 2s on board. One Trick Pony definitely ahead. I mean, that's just the benefit of getting that point capture, getting that extra 300 credits for everybody. Does give them a little bit of a lead, but I mean, some people on Penta save them for caught 3, which is really smart. You need that against Grover, especially since OTP, the Grover team, have the Willow. You know, Willow is like the hard counter to Grover if you make that work. A little surf by Polka there. That was a cool little trick.
Yeah, it was. I agree with that. Faithful goes up, but my goodness, as soon as he went up, he fell twice as fast. He ends up getting picked off by Coriel. They're just focus firing him in this case. Planted comes through, along with the Assert Dominance, to really come out into the back line to try and hold back Coriel and Haste in this case. Overpowered, though, in such a bad spot. Did he back up?
No, he hit Nixus while he was invisible.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I actually didn't know. I thought he had backed up into that.
No, maybe that might have been what happened, but it still caught Nixus while he was invisible. So crazy timing by Coriel to catch that. And that's going to lead to this really aggressive zone. Everybody but Grover dismounted, and he's not going to be the one to touch. So Ovim now body blocking the Inara, getting a little bit of room. And Nara's actually a little forward, so it might give them more ult charge with this inevitable capture.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that for sure. They do get the kill onto the Inara, though. Surretts goes down next, followed by a couple daggers in the defit. Are going to leave him looking distraught more than anything. Haste finds another kill on a Nixus, triple for him, and now Slop and the rest of them are moving up. A full-on team wipe. Inara respawning. So is the Grover. So is the Willow. But you still got 2 down, and the payload's still pushing.
I was about to say, I kind of like how Penta's zoning this. They're not really focusing on the top left, because that's not as important for the zone. Coriel's going there now, but that's something you don't really want to hold because it's so open. You take it when you're getting ground. It's important to have, but holding it is way too hard, I think, when you're doing an aggressive zone. So they pull back, but they set up Coriel to go in whenever they're ready. 2 people up there to try to contest him because One Trick Pony know how important that area becomes once the card gets this close.
Exactly. Shots from Slop they're going to find some marks, but they're not going to get any definitive kills right here. The arrows are coming through, of course. Nixus really in a good spot where you would want to be as a DPS, especially if you are in the back line, playing one of those backliners. You definitely want to make sure you are in a good enough spot with sufficient cover, firing in the back. Slopadopoulos, of course, once again swapping back to him, are getting a couple shots. Coriel engaged in a fight one-on-one with Ash, blocks the kinetic burst so he doesn't actually get boinked away, but Faithlight comes through, as well as a couple other shots. Haste Man and Coriel combined are going to be able to find the shots they need to bring down Defit. Void Grip goes up, Anzadoodle comes down, and now we're looking at 2 individuals that are gone. A third one joins the mist in this case. They're looking at Stop Me. He goes down as well, and now Penta are going to be able to push this in.
Yeah, and One Trick Pony don't want to use any of their ultimates to defend that. They tried to use their Faithfly, but as soon as that was out of the board, they need to hold the rest, because if you use your ultimates and still go down 3-1, now you're at a huge disadvantage moving forward. So smart by them, I think, to save a little bit. They did end up using the Whirlwind too, but now you're at the point of the game where Whirlwind is kind of just bad.
Right.
It's kind of just like you're cheerleading for your team because you're waving your arms above your head. Wacky waving inflatable arm failing tree corpse.
I want that skin.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be a cool.
I don't know what he would
do
do the rest of the game when he's not ulting, but it would be pretty good until then. Caught 3 online for Ovum and Slop, so that is a lot of good ways to deny that whirlwind. And actually, Penta have the ult advantage too, so this is going to be a really tough fight for OTP. They need to find a really good seismic crash. And Penta have all these resiliences online, so they basically have to catch Bolka, and we know how slippery Bolka can be.
Yeah, and speaking of slippery, we already see that Haste is already trying to set himself up in the back line right here. He knows that 2 of them are over there, but also the rest of OTP are there as well. Seismic Crash to come through, chucks it out. No marks found. Overpower goes through. They do manage to get Nixus, which that's going to be enough to allow them not only zone, but push this Ashe. He's going to try and get away. Commander's grab to come through time and space to set it up. Stop me, Surrettes, Nixus, 3 of them down, 2 of them remaining, and now Defit finds a kill on Hayes, but once again, they just continually fall. 48% on the point with a good zone, won't be able to make it back.
OTP did die in the perfect order for that, though. I mean, if you're Ashe actually managed to get by without getting dismounted, so she has a chance to go into the point and assert dominance. Ashe going down so early is big, but actually body block up top by Ovum. Now Ashe has to use assert dominance way too early. She's not going to be able to make it in time after the game is over, but you started it just a little bit too late. 93%, not enough time to make it to the point.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ashe. You can't fight anybody if the game's already over, because that's the voice line as you hear. She comes in, come on, let's fight, and it already has victory up on the screen. So, I mean, rest in pieces for her, single tier. But, however, I mean, it was a good match coming out there. Warder's Gate, a map you don't typically see, but definitely some very, very pivotal play.
Yeah, I think so. I'm surprised OTP actually won that first mid. I thought Penta were playing it really well, but honestly, just that pick that Nixus got at the very start really turned it. I think it was just too hard for Penta to kind of turn it back around with how hard that zone was from Pony.
Right, exactly. We already see the stats here. Haste, 59,000. Ovum, 59,000. But Slop, man, we already had him all the way up at the top, and he just doesn't stop, especially with the shots it is that he was making. Slopodopolis, 84,526 damage. Of course, the damage is not the only story. You have that slash lines. Boca, 1 death. Slopodopolis, 1 death. Coriel, 3. Ovum, 2. Haste, 3.
I just wish Slop got 2 less assists.
Just
wanted to see hockey sticks across the board. But, I mean, you could just see how powerful their draft was, able to keep their distance very low death because they could really choose their fights. Also, I like Ovum's build. I think he's running, I want to say that speed on Boots 3. It's a little bit more rotation potential. Sometimes you play that when you're doing, like, off-tank Barrack, but for main tank, it gives you options to be slippery, too. Coriel did a great job at pushing the last, kind of holding that top area. His overpowers were great, especially when he got that. Hopefully we get to see the potentially invisible overpower. Is this it? Potentially? No, this is pushing here.
Yeah, because Nixus is over there, so he hasn't really got to that point yet. There's the planted right there. But, of course, once again, Coriel did really well.
It was invisible.
It was, but I think he was aiming for Ashe.
He might have been. Well, he would have missed the Ashe. Luckily for him, Nixus decided to jump in the way. The Secret Service for Stop Me, unfortunately, he did not do what it intended to. And he did a great job, I think. A lot of pressure from him. Khan, still really good. I mean, even though he's going down on the priority pick list, I think that's just because other characters are getting better. Khan is still fantastic. You can't argue with an overpower.
Right. I mean, you also can't argue with the sustainability he has, the damage he can bring out, especially with Storm of Bullets. Even though you deal less damage when you take that talent, it still is very, very strong. Up. Yeah, the DPS still goes up. I mean, that's still a thing it is that Khan can do. He offers a lot to the team. However, one thing it is that they're offering us right after this break is a Game 3.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins minor league.
Penta clocking in and out here. Shift leader Slopodopolis leading the charge, but all in all, Penta takes this one. As a unit, it's now 2-0 versus One Trick Pony.
Yep.
Dave's still my co-pilot here. And as we look forward to our third match, this one is really just up and down. Penta is really performing.
Yeah, it's a whole new look. I mean, game one, I was saying, all right, game one's out of the way. Now I need to see them do it consistently. Technically less consistently since they gave up a point this time around, but this is, although Slappadopoulos continues to pop off, 11-1 on the Leon that time around. That was a whole core team performance, as you put it. I mean, top to bottom, that's a full Penta team win, something to hang your hat on. You've had a rough start to this split. You're in a rough region. I mean, you're still fighting against All Business, Sour Team. Still have a set to close out here.
For sure.
But if they play half as good as they did in that last one, this one might be all over.
One Trick Pony trying to kind of rise to the occasion, but having trouble here. Big picture, Dave, how does OTP get themselves back in the match?
That's tough. I mean, I look at the Shaolin pick. Left something to be desired, I think. More cohesive team play. I mean, that's easier said than done. But I think that if you're going to have Slappadopoulos playing the way he is, you need to put Hayes on something a little bit more comfortable. I don't know about Nixus going onto the Shaolin. Don't lose it in picks and bans right off the bat. Give yourself a better fighting chance to win.
See if that's the case. Location. Game number 3 is Bright Marsh. So an interesting one here for sure. Love the sight lines on this map, to be honest with you. I think a lot of different champions are enabled here.
Yeah, it's similar, honestly, in a weird way. I mean, it's not the same, but somewhat same as far as viability in the flank flex blaster position. A lot of the same types of champions, depending on how you want to play. If you want some of that indoor zone control, maybe you go with the Bomb King. Pip is certainly viable on this map. Willow, strong choice. Maeve, well, Willow's not going to get any play here because she's not allowed. But that sort of style, Eevee we'll see from time to time. And I talked about One Trick Pony needing to come out a little bit stronger in these drafts. That's where I look. The flex blaster position in this case, they've done okay on the front lines. I'm scared of Slappadopoulos on Leon. I'm also scared when he has a Torvald behind him.
Torvald, I was going to mention, getting through. Our bands usually Atlas, Torvald, Makoa, somebody else. And Torvald did not get his invitation to the band round. Instead, it was Genos and Willow. So Penta will pick up Leon and Torvald. This changes the way OTP are gonna play. Now you're looking for characters that deal good record damage. And Tyra is certainly one of them.
She absolutely is. She'll early game, at least depending on the way the rest of this draft goes. But 5 champions locked in here. Penta are going to win this early game. I mean, this Leon Torvald combination is something that at the MSI they really forged into their win. Granted, they had Erase at the time, who's now of course playing for Virtus Pro in the Premier League. But that doesn't take away how potent that stack is. A Torvald pocketing a Leon is absolutely going to shred in this early game. And One Trick Pony trying to counter out a little bit of that with the Grok. Grok is some early game as well. So it's honestly the balance between the Wrecker on the OTP side versus the Cauterize coming on the line on the Penta side. Pip, though, that's sometimes a fight winner.
Could change things. Grok traditionally not the greatest at busting down shields, but will certainly be able to have some pressure in the early game. Once he starts to fall off, the Furia and the Tyra should kind of step up and do the work. That's how that's on paper. How does it wind up on the battlefield? That's what we're about to find out. OTP, Penta, looking for the set. Fawn, will it come?
Game 3.
Penta might have a chance.
They might indeed. Penta versus OTP. 2-0 currently. They're looking pretty good. I mean, the Grok is brought out. That's the second time that we've seen Grok on Bright Marsh. Most of the time you try and see Willow. Most of the time you try and see little Drogos here and there. But Grok, he is here, and it is a thing. So, I mean, it's not as prominent as you would expect, though.
Yeah, it actually used to be banned on this map for a while, too,
Interesting.
specifically on Bright Marsh. Well, there was a thing where it's been fixed, but his shock pulses would bounce through the wall next to the point, like the one that teams stand on. You know
Oh,
what
get
I'm
the
talking about, like the
concussion.
garden wall?
Yeah. I know.
Shock pulses used to go through that, so he was
Wow, okay.
banned specifically on this map.
Got
He's
you.
always been good on this map. Being able to bounce them through the windows is really good, and I think this is a great place for it. I mean, having Ying as an option to bounce off of, Torvald really can't stop you from farming him for shock pulses if you need to, so it's a good option, but the pressure from the Leon and the Pip onto the Grok is going to have to be the biggest question mark for One Trick Pony. They have to keep Defit protected, because Grok doesn't handle pressure that well, and Penta's draft looks primed to do it.
Yeah, we already see the presence being used by Slop here. Of course, him and Torvald already on the side. Lands every single shot he needs to leave Defit in the respawn timer. And in this case, the rest of OTP are going to back up. They already know. They've already pretty much lost that little fight on the flank. Really, the Anar is the only one standing that's really close enough to the point. Furia stepped up a little bit too far, tried to heal Anar through the window. Doesn't end up going well. Presence comes through. And that's going to be enough for Nixus to get the kill because Slop was already super low. But 30% on the point with the zone. They have the momentum. Penta could just end up capping.
OTP have a chance to retake them. I mean, they're not completely staggered. They're about to, they're fighting for tree. They're still pretty close. They have a spawner coming in main. If Inara can avoid using her DR, which she actually just did very early, so might be tough for Doodle to get in without getting burned. He'll at least get OT, but I think they might trade him for it if they're not careful.
90% steadily climbing as well for OTP, but once again, they're really close in percentages. Ovum went down, so that actually might be something it is they can look forward to in this case. Torvald has to follow up as well. We already see Surets with the double kill, healing through this window right here. Corio goes down. No one else can really step on the point. Would look like a pretty much almost one fight for Penta is now looking like OTP capped.
Yeah, and I think it was because of Doodle did DR early, but he managed to get the touch at the last second.
Right.
And everyone was kind of so focused on punishing the Inara that used it early, they just looked away from the rest of the team. They have to have really prime focus fire and at least awareness of what's surrounding them, or else Penta's going to get collapsed on. Penta has to kind of spearhead their aggression with the comp that they have. The only person who can really cleave is their Pip. So if their Pip is focused on one target, doesn't see the bigger picture, they can just get overwhelmed and surrounded. It's so much pressure on this Torvald and whoever the pocket target is to find the kills. If it's the wrong target, then it's going to fall apart. That's the downfall of Torvald.
I'm actually going to pose this question while there's actually fight right here, because I'm genuinely curious is, do you think he used that DR early in order to actually, in order to actually prevent an Evo Mojo in case they tried to stop him back to point?
No, because it was just used, I believe, on the point.
Really, like as soon as he got
even
back
if
there.
he got the touch and wall, I mean, the DR ran out as soon as he touched the point, so they could have Evo Mojed him once he was on.
Right, true.
And basically had the same effect. Maybe he saw the Pip and knew it was coming. I think actually, no, I think he might be right, because I think it happened after.
Yeah,
the DR came out.
because he made it to point and then Pip used it literally like after that fact. So I wonder if he was a little bit worried about the Evo Mojo in that case. Regardless,
That could be what it is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's just sort of what it is that I thought was the case. I mean, I'm not too sure 100%, but regardless of that, of course, Slop does end up going down. The overpower comes through, which that's going to be enough. Evo Mojo already back up. A lot of damage falling onto the Anar, though. Stop Me finds one kill. Nixus finds the other. And really, it's just a matter of perspective. They can't even get in. They don't have the team they need to be able to back them up, not because they don't have good character picks, but literally because they didn't have a team. They already lost 2 of their individuals, and they just didn't have a way to touch.
One of the bigger things here is they have to, whatever team is going to be more aggressive, I think is going to be the one that really decides the fights, purely because Grok doesn't handle pressure well.
Right.
Neither does Torvald. I mean, if you walk
Right,
at a
right.
Torvald, he really doesn't have a defense other than recharge for 1 second and pray that's enough. There's really no other response for him. I know some Torvalds run Eldritch Speed in their build, which I don't think is very good. Small little speed boost when you recharge. Never going to be enough to get you out.
Right.
So it really is whatever team finds that priority target and collapses on it first. So Penta, Coriel has to be a little bit more careful. He has to watch his positioning, because if he's going to be getting picked in these fights, it really does make the rest of his team just fall apart.
Right, Fire Strike ends up coming through, looking for an early stun, but the dismount's already happened. Evo Mojo finds 3 of them. He's already looking to make sure he can get that healer. Surets does go down, but Haze follows suit soon after that. Their healer is gone, though. There's one person you didn't want to lose. It would definitely be that. However, he is just getting burned right now. That sucks. He used Tempest to try and get out of there, but Defit still ended up getting clipped by Enlightenment, which wasn't enough to save him in that scenario. The Illusory Rift goes out. Anjadoodle kills Ovum, so now they're building percentage on the point for OTP.
Tempest is such a hard ultimate to use properly. You really have to initiate with it. It's so hard to use defensively when you can just get bursted down, especially now that Cauterized 2s are going to be online for OTP. After they won that mid-fight, they got those bonus credits. Good wall, actually. Well, rough wall, because it almost walled off his team, but they did manage to touch the last second. Ovum immediately melts down to the inflamed crossfire, but this Pip's going to go down as well, and OTP just completely steamroll this fight.
Yeah, putting Hunter's Mark on Ovum already pretty much melted him. 4 of them are down. Of course, Boca's going to be the one that's forced to back up. Going to have to give him a little bit more respect than he probably would want to, but they already netted the point. 3-0 in this case on Brightmarsh. They are looking really good. I think OTP just has the event. I think they're playing around the Grok really well. I think they are.
I think they're also just finding the right targets a lot of the time. They're denying, even when they got triple evil mojo'd, only one person died. They spread properly, didn't let them get away with too much. Torvald is just very hard to make work if the other team's good at executing against you. Coriel almost lived there because the roots did manage to save him from going off the edge, but doesn't it fall in the end. They dive in and try to stop things, but this card's rolling close, and the tanks both have a pretty long respawn time until they can contest.
Yeah, the shots are coming through, of course. Pip, aka Haste, just waiting all the way in the back, trying to make sure he doesn't peek a little bit too far. Has to give him respect. Doesn't want to end up dying, of course. A minute 35 still on the clock, and really, they're able to contest now. Dome Shield goes down, gives him a good amount of range it is that he's actually covering in this case. Shots coming out from Haste, just holding up this corner right here. Of course, just trying to wait, see if anybody's gonna peek. Really, it's pretty much a stalemate right now. They're waiting for a little bit until something like that happens, where you hit 2 with an Evil Mojo, and now the rest are gonna push. However, Haste does go down a minute 10. That's the Inflame. They got the pick they wanted. Slop does get Nixus, though, and really, there's only a few of them left. I don't know if they'll actually be able to turn this fight around.
Inflame tanks might have enough damage. They definitely have enough sustain, but Slobodopoulos in the backline. Enlightenment keeps him alive. Ovum finding Surretts gets rid of a lot of sustain, and Torvald, the pockets managed to make things happen, and this might be a little long of a stagger.
Oh, he's trying to go for Boca. Or, yeah, I mean, he was at least trying to do something in any case.
The coach and me, every time I see someone on a team kill someone who was going into stagger, the coach and me is like, stop. That extra second will make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And Slop jumped off the map there to deny any bonus credits. Any alt charge. I figured you were going to ask.
No, I wasn't actually, because I was curious.
You get bonus alt charge depending on how many kills you have. If Slop got a lot of kills there, then jumping off will be able to maintain things, not give enemies a bonus for killing.
Gotcha. Okay, well, the seismic crash ends up coming through. Wall goes up for himself, just give himself a little bit more time to live, but Nyx is finding a double. A 3rd kill coming up, and Surretts' name to fit finds a 4th, and that 4 kills right there are going to net them the finish game.
The more I watch OTP's comp play, the more I think that the Grok Tyra was really smart.
Yeah.
Just the fact that both of those characters, you kind of have to dive, you have to pressure. If you don't pressure them, they're going to just get away with too much. They couldn't do both.
Right.
Especially with a Torvald. They didn't have 2 fronts. They have their Torvald front, and then they have their Barrack just contesting the Inara the entire time. So I liked that draft. I think it was really solid into the Torv.
Yeah, I mean, I was just remembering what it was that you had said earlier about how if you're going to end up going the Grok, or I mean, I don't know if this is specific to a team composition, but picking Grok right here, you have to do well early. And I feel like it's perfect because you pick Tyra, you have the Furia, you have the Khan, you have characters that can go in. There are characters you would want to support you if you're trying to go for an early dive in this case. Of course, there are a lot of times where Tempest would come out, you would see Crossfire happen, and it would just shred everybody, but you already see on Penta's side that, hey, 6,000, so on and so forth, but the slash lines are coming up positive in OTP side.
Yeah, for sure. And again, they focus down to fit, but you can't fight both.
Right,
Only
exactly.
one front when you have a Torvald. 11-2 for Nixus, basically uncontested the majority of the game, and I think it paid off. Torvald, very hard. You have to really work properly to make it pay off. Right. Interesting build by him, too. He's running Glyph of Freedom, I believe that's Glyph of Freedom 5, which is, I think, Elim CDR. That's tough to do on Torv, because you have to actually, your bubble targets don't give you eliminations. You have to shoot people for it to happen, and he only got 5 assists that whole time. But again, story of that game was Nixus, I feel. The ability to just free fire with Tyra, you just can't ignore her.
Yeah, literally what I was saying before about how Tempest, and you see Crossfire, you see everybody get a run down, Inflame gets popped, Crossfire gets popped, Tempest gets popped. You have a perfect pop and drop composition right there where you're literally just moving in, you're rushing everybody down, you're getting the kills, applying Hunter's Mark. Literally, he's applying it. You get a Hunter's Mark. You get a Hunter's Mark. Because they're literally just killing everybody. It's like a storm, stampede, really.
An inflamed crossfiring Tempested Tyra might be one of the scariest things I've ever seen in this game. And honestly, when I was on Bork, that was one of our strategies we'd kind of fall back to sometimes. We would just pocket our direct damage with Torvald. Put him on Tyra. Every crossfire was a game ender. That ultimate is risky. When you get it to work, it's great, and when you're putting that many resources into it, it's gonna work. It's gonna be great.
I mean, you definitely saw the fruits of the labor right there. Of course, the inflame and everything with Furia being just good overall in case the one damage up wasn't enough. When you have inflame, now everyone's hitting you for absolutely obscene amounts of damage. Just so good. However, the game is over. Right after this break will be the next game.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins minor league.
Their name's One Trick Pony, and they pull it out, and they get one trick. They get one win so far. Could continue to go. Listen, I'm new here, but I'll be honest. I kind of saw Penta beat themselves a little bit.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I mean, new or not, I think that's the right way to look at it. I mean, there's absolutely merit to the Leon Torvald pocket. I mean, it worked so well for them at MSI. But honestly, the opposite side, finally, it was One Trick Pony also not beating themselves. I mean, in the draft, it looks a lot better coming out of it. You pair the Tyra with the Grok in the backline, and I think that works. A Tempest with a Crossfire, Inflame to boot. I mean, that combo of ultimates, kind of a free team fight win.
I mean, he said it makes sense. The Grok goes early game, wins it, and then hands off to the Tyra later on to take care of the shields. Yep. High execution, will it work? We kind of sat here saying no. OTP, there's egg on my face. Great job there. One win in the pocket. Let's see where they're going to have to do it this time around. Game number 4, Jaguar Falls. Oh, wait. Jaguar Falls.
Chills. Literal chills.
You like that one?
I did like that one. It works, though. You're right. I missed having you on here because I haven't been able to say Jaguar Falls in a very long time. The thing to note, though, both teams have 4-0, 4-1, 4-0. I mean, they're kind of heavyweights exchanging blows at this point. Nobody wanting to contest a game, seemingly. Willow banned out here. I think that's a good ban. Will remain a good ban. Torvald, Penta don't want to play it this time, so I'm going to take it away.
Yeah, a return to the kind of meta bans, the 3 and then 1. We see the then 1 being Willow. First and foremost, the Ashe here. Is this a Jaguar Falls pick, or is this just we want to go fast?
A little of both. Ashe is very, very good in general, but also a little bit better on Jaguar Falls when you consider the way a lot of these fights happen and where they happen. You look at the mid, these 2 side rooms, boop your head on the ceiling, immediately come down for assert dominance. The spatial control that Ashe provides, so important on this map.
Love the response from One Trick Pony, though. You've got the Khan and the Barrack. I think these 2 choices are kind of really effective here on Jaguar Falls. Like you said, the 2 spots. Barrack can kind of really take care of that. Shields on one side, heavy attention on the other from the guns. And Khan, anybody gets too close, just choke him out commando style. So I like the response from OTP. Furia and Cassie will be Penta's choice across the way.
I like that response from Penta to OTP's response to Penta at the beginning. That's even closer to the dream. I mean, you look at a Nara Khan, Cassie's going to like that. Barrack Khan, though, especially with a Furia, I mean, I'm salivating at the opportunity. I mean, the wrecker potential there, the melt potential.
Oh, wow.
It's all on
Choose your
board.
words carefully,
Stick a
heathen,
Tyra
for
behind
they
it.
are your
I
last.
think Penta have a great offensive lineup here.
Yeah, this is a beautiful composition. The Furia, the
and are
Cassie, the
unwanted
Tyra. This is just, I mean, sometimes you just got to bring out the guns. Sun's out, guns
Yeah.
out, and Penta, the sun is shining. And Nara going to take up that front line with the Ash point tank and off tank, respectively. Last choice is going to be Pip, and I do like this Pip choice. I think this is kind of that last second knuckleball where you're sitting and Penta goes, hey, all right, we got 3 big guns. It's up to you to stop us. That ultimate from Pip is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, that really, honestly, I think is what it comes down to for OTP. If you hit a good Evil Mojo, you have a chance at winning. But the moment Inflame, Crossfire, Seismic Crash, and Assert Dominance roll at you, you're not going to win that fight.
This is going to be an exciting match of Paladins, the 4th game. It comes after the 3rd and before a possible 5th. I'll give it to the 2 commentators, Fawn with the microphone.
Yes, that's correct. I do indeed have a microphone. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be able to hear me. 2-1, game 4 on Jack Falls in this case. What's up?
Why are you lying? You've been yelling really loud this whole time.
Oh my God, could you imagine that?
Everybody at home has been hearing you through their windows.
Through their
Close your windows. If you guys don't want to hear the comments here anymore, just close your windows.
Yeah.
We've both been yelling incredibly loud this whole time. And
It's true.
hopefully,
Sorry, guys.
yeah, sorry about that, but
Yeah, I'm sorry.
hopefully your eardrums will be saved. And I think that Penta could have taken that Pip if they wanted to. I think that Pip pick, what's the Solar Blessing?
Yes, Solar Blessing, because you never see it. It requires a lot of coordination. And it's normally not really worth it to take against Cherish because it's so much harder to hit.
I think it's a Jaguar Falls specific thing because there's so
That
many
makes
walls,
sense.
so many corners that you can beam somebody in a room on the side,
Right.
kind of play off that, as opposed to having to peek them when there's so much damage potential, especially with the Pip and Leon, able
That's
to
true.
burst you, slow you whenever you try to do something. And they're kind of moving as a unit already. You can see kind of that 5-man death ball all the way around the outside. Ash and Cassie now, though. They're going to be kind of fighting them in dark. Rest of Penta kind of holding their ground, rotating back to the point now. OTP regaining a little bit of room here, but Beam is missed. That's a lot of the healing potential kind of off the table now for Penta.
Yeah, gotta use the dash boost to make sure he gets out of there. We already see the Tyra is looking really, really low. Healed herself back up, though, and now, really, it's a matter of where they decide to fight after this point. Solar Blessing goes out, does end up stopping. Not onto Ovum, unfortunately, stops onto the Cassie, which is going to result in Ovum's death. Ovum, Boca, Haze, all of them are gone. Choreo going down next, followed by the Tyra with that shot.
That's such classic Moxie. Nixus turns the corner. They turn the corner to fight the Pip and just does not go down.
Yeah, the healing.
The healing from that is able to sustain him through. OTP now kind of forward zoning. Cassie does get dismounted on the right, and this is the dangerous zone for a Pip to be. He has Evil Mojo, so unless they use the DR pretty much immediately, they're going to be able to stop this touch most likely. They actually, okay, they do find the Ash on the right side, so the touch is going to be very delayed here. Might go in with Evil Mojo, and they do.
Yeah.
Pip very low, but they should be able to find these kills.
Yeah, they do. They find 2. Haze and Boca end up going down, which is allowing the rest of OTP, or at least in this case, Stop Me into Fit, to really try and control this right flank. Slop ends up getting the kill. He gets 2 kills, actually, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. OTP is just going to be able to cap this one out. Slop was already too low, trying to make it back as Ash as well. And a good send-off fire grenade, or really just using that explosive flask and his left click in this case for Defit, be able to finish off Slop. But it was hard. It was too hard for them to get in.
It's going to be a little bit easier for Penta as the rounds go on because I think they have really solid ultimates. Other than Evil Mojo and Overpower, I think they do kind of outclass the OTP ults. We'll have to see how they choose to use them, but now we're in the stalemate here, and Inflame, one of the good ults being used, combined with Crossfire and Seismic Crash at the same time. Used so early so they can charge it again, and they are just absolutely rolling them down.
Look at this. This is literally, when you say death ball composition, sometimes, I'm not going to lie, sometimes it's harder for me to think, okay, well, with Grover, you can have a death ball composition, you can actually push forward. When I think death ball, I think that. Literally right there.
Here's the best way to describe death ball, I think. When you turn a corner and all 5 members of the enemy team are right there and you immediately die. That's death ball. It's not death ball because they're so hard to kill. It's death ball because they are literally a ball of death. You are immediately going to go down if you manage to run into them. You have to kind of just keep your distance and kite away from them. I mean, that is the counter to that strategy, but when you're CC'd, when they're moving that fast, you just can't make the distance you need to stay alive.
It's literally, they literally just moved in. You see that Tyra really just had that opportunity, went in, literally looked left, popped on con, looked the other way, popped on another target,
Like, it's really so hard to be able to deal with that once all of that's online. If Mojo comes through, though, that's definitely going to be the start because they end up getting Choreo. Cassie was already super low, so she has to dodge roll out of that situation. Doesn't want to end up getting killed, but Slob goes down, not before he gets Nixus, but now it's just the Anar that's really left on here. He throws out the Pyre Strike, Solar Blessing to make sure he can keep that Anar alive, but Boca goes down, and Anar looks like she's going to be next.
But she's delaying the point long enough where they have a refight potentially. The beam did keep both of them alive for a pretty long time. Penta now have a little bit of breathing room, I think, to charge their ultimates for this next mid-fight. Win or lose this defense, I think what matters to them is having more resources for the fight, especially since OTP are kind of low. I mean, don't have Overpower yet. Used Enlightenment to keep Nexus alive, even though he did end up going down. And Evil Mojo only halfway charged.
Oh, yeah, the good primary fire coming out by the blast shot from the Cassie. Haste is looking really, really low, so he's not going to try and peek and try and deal with that con. He's really just going to give him an opportunity. Seismic Crash to come through, Shoulder Bash to get in there. Slob goes down, Defit goes down as well. Now we're looking at a 1-2 scenario where 2 people have been traded out. One of them is the least number of people that have died in that last fight, and because of that, Penta defends successfully.
Yeah, the beam actually, I think, coming in clutch a little bit there, keeping both of them alive.
I agree.
In those situations when there's really only one way it can go, you can see it coming the whole time, that's when it's going to have the most impact, at least the most consistency at hitting. It's a lot harder on these mid-fights where you might be in a room and your healer will say, beam on you. And you're like, well, where is on me? I mean, I could have taken 5 steps when you said that. So you turn around, you look at a wall, it comes from another wall. You're like, oh, well, it just went right past me. And now I'm dead because I've been putting my back to the enemies this entire time. So it's a lot harder to kind of confirm for sure in these close rooms, but when you get them, I think the value is immense.
Right.
Looking at the ultimates here, Penta, they have, I think, the most important one, which is Assert Dominance. With the Overpower not there quite yet, if Coriel finds a very early stun, they might be able to flip this fast enough before the con can get that Overpower online.
Yeah, you already see that the rest of them are really trying to rotate around here. Ash definitely going all the way as far back possible as she can, but stops a little bit. They are, once again, just rotating around. They just adjusted themselves. Now both teams are pretty much facing themselves one after the other. The ultimate did come through, though, I believe. Of course, Scout is there on the lookup. Actually just ends up getting used in that case. But Evil Mojo, he tried to use it to counteract the Assert Dominance he literally knew was coming at that point, but it just wasn't fast enough.
Perfectly timed, too, to keep himself alive. Defit going down. Hayes finding Nixus there on the side, too. Dome Shield buying a little bit of time for OTP on the point, but when if the con goes down, yeah, now Barrack try to get something, won't be able to get much. All the credit bonus is all they can look forward to at this point. Now what they can look forward to is a hard defense.
Yeah, I mean, Hayes ends up getting the kill on Surretts, which is going to stagger them out even a little bit more. They did cap the point, so like you said, they really have to try their best to get a good defense going here. I mean, Coriel and the rest of them are going to end up pushing up on this flank. Of course, Anar's going to stay on point, but you see him already really just holding these stairs. Solar Blessing comes out, keep him a little bit healed up, and make sure that he is all juiced up for when he's trying to watch that staircase. He's literally 1v2ing in this case. The teammate has come through, though. Cassie is there, taking a few shots here and there. Slop obviously on the right. Ovum get healed up. Man, that looks so good when you get healed by that.
Oh yeah, it's a great feeling too.
Yeah.
I expect them to be a little bit ultimate light. They are using Inflame and Scout. Those charge very quickly, and that's going to stagger this into an immediate turn. Honestly, they might want to delay this a little bit just to get their Ashe a little bit more ult charge.
Right,
because
exactly.
if they have that Assert Dominance in the mid, we saw how important, impactful it was.
Right.
I expect OTP to spend maybe Evil Mojo here, if anything, on the respawn, get someone to contest, try to get one quick pick. If they mess it up, though, then things are going to look dire for them going into the next mid-fight.
That's true. Coriel and Hayes really on the left flank here, trying their best to keep themselves alive. Hayes manages to dodge roll away, get the shot, and now the shoulder bash comes in. Nixus finds 2 kills, and so does Coriel at this point. You were talking about how he's going to get the ult charge, and he did net it, and that also netted them the point. 3-1. Penta's looking good, and if they get what they need to with that Assert Dominance, like you said, then they're going to have a 1 game almost.
It's going to be a lot harder, though, because now they don't have the scout to see exactly where One Trick Pony are trying to play, and One Trick Pony have the overpower. So if Coriel puts himself at all in the way of stop me on the con, it's going to immediately get negated. They kind of have to almost make it an execute ult. And by that, I mean, if they find a kill on someone they stun immediately, they'll get something out of it. But there's a lot of resiliences on the side of One Trick Pony. If it's not Nixus, I don't know if they're going to be able to find the kill that quickly.
Yeah, they're going to have a little bit of a rougher time. Coriel definitely has to make sure he uses his ult in a way that would allow himself to be able to really get the most out of it, optimize that sort of ultimate usage. You already see Boca already back here, of course, moving in with the rest of the team. Of course, they're taking the standard where they're just going to end up going left. They figure they still will try and wrap around in this case. Shots are coming through, though. They are trying to go for Boca. They're trying to wrap around as well, more so than what we've seen already. And because of that, good awareness from Penta to be able to literally move together in that situation. And now they've literally sort of swapped spawns.
And they're mirroring the Khan with their Ashe really well, so the Khan's never going to be in a position to get the overpower onto the Ashe if they want to do it. They're getting cap time this whole time, too. Barrack doesn't want to fight against a Solar Blessing and Nara. They're finally contesting them. Overpower coming in from Stop Me to pull off Ovim. Ovim will go down, but they might be able to convert this with the Crossfire.
Oh, but Evil Mojo to try and counteract that. Assert Dominance does go down, but the rest of them have to be able to make sure they find something. Shoulder Bash to get in there. I already know that the fit's low, but that potion, man, healing is already good enough. They get the Enlightenment onto Boca as well. Nixus was just in a good spot. He finds 2 kills. They're looking for a third. Lucario, his death sentence written on it. They do find the pick on him, but both Inflame and Scout are both up, but OTP already captured.
Moxie's brutal, man. I've been there. You're just shooting a Pip the entire time. He heals himself the moment he gets uncauterized from 200 to basically full. Even after the nerf, still a great card. We can see why it does keep getting used. Scout and Inflame charge back up for Penta. If they wanted to use them to put this to the throat of One Trick Pony, they could, and it looks like they will. 2 quick ultimates popped. Hayes losing the duel on the right is going to make this a lot tougher for them, though.
That is for sure, because of the fact that now that really Khan's really literally back against the wall. Defit goes down, Stop Me. Anja Doodle also goes down. Nixus is gone as well. Now they're being able to push in. Ashe speeds her way in there, shoulder bash to make sure they can try and get a zone started. It was looking pretty scary at first since Hayes went down, lost that duel like you had just said. But, I mean, they cleaned it up. They cleaned it up well, too. 4 kills, and now they have a pretty good zone going on. So it's going to be able to allow Penta at least some breathing room.
Could I actually see the healing chart really quick? I want to see how much of a difference Solar Blessing's making. Not very much.
Wow, that's actually
only
crazy.
9k over. I mean, Fury also, her health hadn't moved the entire time there.
Well,
so
sure, yeah.
I think it's because Genos is always healing versus Furia with like the crazy burst healing. These beams, if you're that close to a Genos, it can't be making too much of a difference. We've seen it swing fights on occasion, but not to the level you'd want it to, I think, for giving up Cherish, for giving up the chance to use your beam offensively.
Yeah, we already see that. They're trying to go on the side, try and get Nixus. They do find it, but 2 of their teammates have already gone down. Boca being forced to back off, just disengage in that scenario. Kinetic Burst charged up, but gets blocked. And now they're looking at the fact that Penta have lost most of their teammates here. If I were them, I would really try and save it. Seismic crashes up, Crossfire, Assert Dominance, especially Assert Dominance. Overpower is there through time and space. Evil Mojo, of course, and then Dome Shield steadily building. With Inflame being there, I mean, it's a matter, once again, it's a matter of where they want to save everything for next round or if they really just want to use it now.
I can see them spending something maybe to just try to force something out from One Trick Pony, but they're going to have the advantage ahead of time, I think. Coral getting bulled out pretty hard on this side. Beam goes for Ovim, so Coral has to dash out to get it anyway, and now total positioning control from One Trick Pony. They have everything. Ovim's completely surrounded, so he's going to go down right away, and Coral's going to do his best, but I don't know if it's going to be enough.
Yeah, that's for sure. Solar Blessing actually ends up coming out, keeping Coral so alive, so well looking healthy, but not healthy enough because he does end up going down. Now we're looking at a 3-3 scenario where either Penta can take this entire set or OTP can make this comeback.
And they have a chance to. They have both teams have pretty good ultimates here. I think it's going to come down to, again, I keep mentioning the matchup, but the Assert Dominance versus the Overpower, which ult gets more value, and whether or not the beams find the right targets. I think Ovim maybe could have backed off a little bit, let Coriel take that beam, wait for the next cooldown since he can use DR and get a little bit more time to survive than the Ashe would be able to. Ultimates online, pretty much everything for both, though. So the only advantage Penta can really leverage here is the fact that Nixus doesn't have his. But I mean, there's no way for them to know.
Right.
There's no way for them to know that they have 5 ults to 4 to the T. You know, it's really hard to tell exactly where that damage is coming in some of these chaotic fights. Who knows how much ult charge everyone's getting?
Yeah, the Scout actually ends up coming through as well. All ultimates are online. Everything's up on the board. Inflame goes out, so you already see the right flank already pushing through time and space though to try and punish. Steps back. It's going to be enough to get the kill on Stop Me. The fact that Slop did not go down is very huge. Stop Me's gone. Nixus is gone as well. Barrett tries to dash his way out of there. He goes down to Defit, really trying to keep himself alive, but the shots are too strong. And in this case. Strunk with the K being the case, and really Slop, once again, since he got the kill, 69% on the point, and it's looking like they're going to end up winning this.
If you want to know why point tanks are important, I mean, look at this. They won that fight, kind of staggered. Don't even manage to get a kill with the overpower. The wall is probably going to come in. They actually managed to slip through, so they do touch the point, but Seismic Crash on it might be enough to flip it around. They did touch with the Dome Shield, have to disengage, but they have all this cap time. Even with the pick disadvantage, they still have a chance.
They do indeed. With Genos being marked, really Slop is in a bad spot. He's going to end up getting staggered out. He ends up getting killed. They do have the assert dominance. The thing is that if this Nara goes down, that's going to be pretty huge. Of course, she's waiting in the corner, trying to wait for her team to come back. A few early shots from Surrender trying to go for a dismount, so they actually can't make it back to point, but they're all pretty much here at this point. They use the scout. They want to make sure they know where people are. Assert dominance is there and available. Goes up, uses it on the high ground on the back line. The thing is that he's now planted there. Anja Doodle is down. Defid is down. We lost 2 of them already. Nixus goes down next. And Penta, I'm pretty sure, are going to end up winning this one.
Better ults, just turn this around. There's no way this Genos can be able to touch. Hayes just kind of padding his damage stats and ruining the Genoses, and Penta managed to take it, man. This Penta's been looking really good, I think, recently. They took, I believe they took all business to a 3-2 before, beat Sour Team, and now beat them. Penta looking rejuvenated, I think, from how they looked at the start of the split.
Right, yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, they just had the overall, like you said, the better ults were just there. They had the assert dominance. That was so pivotal. We saw how much it actually played a factor into one of the more previous rounds. However, the fact is that once they actually used it, they had the sustainability. She used it all the way in the back. The rest of them pretty much flooded on the point, got the kills, dusted their hands off, and called it a set, really.
Hayes had a great game, too. I think enabled a lot by Slopadopoulos. The mid play from Penta, a little bit of a fall off towards the middle of the game, but they picked it up by the end. I think their ultimates were a lot better in that final fight. Damn it, the slash lines are actually pretty close. Goes to show how brawly this game was. I think no one really dominating in these fights. Defit and Slop having a great game slash line wise. Hayes having crazy damage though, even with that 9-9 and 15. I mean, he was really laying it into them.
Yeah, he was. Had some of the highest damage numbers in the game, really. And I mean, of course, that's just the power of big game Cassie. You have the Barrack, you have the Khan. Of course, she's going to be able to get record. Had record 3, caught 1, Rezo 1. And of course, by the end of this game, most of them, pretty much everyone except for Nyx is really on this side, ended up getting a resilience, which of course, both teams can benefit a lot from resilience. It's part of the reason as to why Hayes didn't go fully off of the map when he tried to get overpowered. He was able to dodge roll right back into there.
That's also about using on people with mobility. Slopadopoulos, though, without mobility, still managed to do exactly what his team needed, I feel. Tyra marking, since they picked the Ashe early, it made things a lot easier for them. We mentioned, I think, in Game 1 that Ashe into Tyra on this map is really hard for Tyra.
Right.
She can't really do too much. Ashe will just walk at her, put the shield down when the damage boost is out, won't do too much else. But with the Ashe on her side, a lot of pressure off of the Tyra, off of Slopadopoulos in general. And he was able to get away with a lot more than you'd want a Tyra to be doing on this map.
Right, exactly. And of course, Hunting Party, a talent we all know and love, we all sometimes hate. It's the fact that it's able to stack and burst most of these really, really tanky and durable targets. And that's just the power of it. What's up?
Not much longer, my friend.
Not much. Oh, right, yeah.
Not much longer for Hunting Party.
Wednesday.
Well, not for the Pro League games. The PPL will still be played on the current patch this weekend. Well, this week, but next week will be the new patch. Less Torvald, less Tyra. Damage boosts kind of shifted down a little bit. I guess standardized across the board. That'll be interesting to watch how these teams kind of adapt to that meta. I feel like there's still being changes going on in the current one.
Right.
Some of those changes haven't even made it to the PML yet. I've noticed we haven't seen a lot of Strix like we have before.
Exactly.
Want to see? Maybe we'll see it more in NA.
Well, yeah. Hopefully, we will be able to see it in NA. But of course, we can't go there without first stopping by our friends at the desk.
It's me, Fawn's friend at the desk. My name's Tom F. Battinger, and I also have a friend to my left. It's Dave Tolson Olson.
I'm your friend?
Yeah, today.
Today. I appreciate that.
I need to cut all jokes aside, Dave. You are one of my best friends.
Oh.
I come into work every day, and I love to see you here. You brighten up the day. You make the set of Paladins better. The scene is forever in your debt and gratitude. You good?
Yeah, fine. Thanks, Tom.
Europe, tying a bow on Europe, and the teams deserve just as much praise as Dave does. Fantastic stuff as we watch Penta kind of just go to work, clock in. They do drop a round. They drop a game, to One Trick Pony. I will say no surprise.
No.
I think that it's not surprising to see One Trick Pony be able to kind of rise to the occasion, make
Right.
a mark, but ultimately, unfortunately, lose out. And then, of course, earlier we saw All Business take on one of the other top teams.
Yeah, and lots of shuffling to be done, I assume. But I agree with you. Not surprising. I mean, you look at One Trick Pony and some of the names they have on their roster. I mean, Doodle, probably the best known. He's flexed onto kind of that off-tank frontline role this split, which is obviously different for him. We're used to seeing him on the blaster flank type flex, but he's still doing a pretty good job of it. I mean, One Trick Pony definitely hanging in there, but big win for Penta. I imagine shuffling around the standings a little bit.
Let's just take a look at him right now. How does Europe look at the moment after today's in the books? And you can see All Business right up there on top, taking down Sour Team earlier on, and then Penta maintaining their 3-3. But One Trick Pony not getting the -8, getting the -7. You'll love to see it if you are rooting for the colorful courses. And that's going to be Europe. 2 games down, and of course that means we move on to North America.
Yeah.
We got some exciting matches. What are you looking forward to?
Honestly, this next one, Hype versus 5-Stack, and I look more on Hype's side because they are absolutely the far and away favorites to win this set, but they've had a problem with cleanly closing things out over the past couple of weeks where they'll end up winning anyway, but they kind of stumble somewhere towards the middle. I mean, some 3-1 sets, some 3-2 sets that don't need to be 3-1 or 3-2.
Sure.
So I want a temperature check on Hype Unit and see how cleanly they can beat a beatable opponent in 5-Stack.
I mean, this is a squad, right? This is Dethroner and the other boys?
And Pan, yeah. I mean, the people who got replaced by some Penta players now still very, very good, still PPL caliber players in Hype Unit. So I look for them to win today, but more convincing than they have in the past.
You know what? I'm sold. I think I'm going to go. You want to go cast that one?
Yeah, let's
All right.
leave. You want to head out?
I'm down. We're
do
going to be
it.
right back. We're going to trade out some spots here on the desk. Hype Unit coming up next.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins minor league.